Welcome back to another edition of Stop Me If You've Heard This Before. This is our newest edition on what we'll call a quotes log. Let me explain that to you guys as we get going here. I'll switch screens a few different times, but just a reminder really briefly as we get going, have something to write with somewhere if you need to. Pause me as you need to write down notes or questions that you have, and if you miss something, skip back. If it seems like you understand, you don't need to watch it again. Don't mess with watching it again. All right, here we go. We're talking about a quotes log. What do I mean by that? Well, one of the things that you're going to be asked to do specifically with your Google Reader is find things that interest you. We talked about what that could possibly mean today a little bit in finding articles that make a claim that you agree with or disagree with or are interested in or whatever. What I'm doing is I'm going to get on my reader and I'm going to go to my starred items, which I showed you earlier on today as well. These are things that I've read or want to read later on, right? So one thing that I have read is this article called "We Never Talk Anymore: The Problem with Text Messaging." Okay, what I want you to do for a quotes log is, as you read the article, if you see something interesting in it, either something you agree with or disagree with, or are excited about, or you just think it's a cool stat if you're a numbers person, I want you to copy it. So this article is about the problem with text messaging. Okay. I found an interesting quote, or something that I think is interesting. It says the telephone call is a dying institution, and then it lists off some numbers about how many text messages are sent. What I did was I copied this, and I'm going to paste it to this quotes log. Okay, I already have pasted it right there. Note that I give the author of the article credit, just like you would if you were writing a research paper, right? So you've got quotes around what you've borrowed from whoever it is, and you give them credit at the end of that quote. The quotes log, I'm going to have you set up in this manner, with a line down the middle, with quotes on one side and then reflections or reactions on the other. What I generally want you to do is think about what it is that quote means to you, or what's interesting about it, or what questions it raises. We did this with the flipped classroom article today in class. For me, this quote, "The telephone call is a dying institution," rings true. I hardly ever make phone calls, so I'm going to write something like that here as I go along, okay? I'm going to say, for me, I hardly ever make phone calls. For example, I would rather send a text message to someone I haven't talked to in a long time, as opposed to calling them. And that used to be the only way to keep in touch. And this article makes the claim that it's a better way to keep in touch, that we're really not keeping in touch. So I might say something like, but is texting really keeping in touch? Is it really a conversation? So that's a question I can ask on top of this that I might get to thinking about. I want you to keep quotes, or interesting quotes, or things that you find interesting from articles that you read on your Google Reader in a certain place, whether that's on your phone, on a document like this online, somewhere that you can access it later on. Okay, that's the quotes log. And when we come to class tomorrow, we'll have you set one up and walk through what it is that we're, again, doing with this Google Reader, hoping that we can get you guys some interesting articles that you can respond to. We'll see you then.